Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Wendy Clayton, and I have been applying the principles that we are going to learn tonight for over 10 years. And I have I've seen many improvements in my health and that of my family. And personally, I have struggled with gut issues from a young age, from officially like diagnosed around 11 years old. But I didn't really learn the better ways to take care of my body and in the way that it really needs. And not until like the last 10 years and even more recently, the last 4 or 5, I've gotten more honed in onto what works best for me. It's been a process of taking those steps that are necessary to heal my gut and to make the right choices every day. It really truly has been a lifesaver for me. So I'm excited to share with you tonight and hope that you will find something useful to take away with you. I do encourage you, grab a pen and paper, have something to take notes with. Be sure if you have questions, you can put them in the chat either online or here on Zoom, and I will come back around to those. Sometimes we won't see them till later, but I will come back and answer any questions y'all might have at the end. So we got our drawing taken care of. Cricket is going to be receiving that fun package. So, okay. This is a quote by Thomas Edison. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, in the cause and prevention of disease. This is one of our two classes in the series that really doesn't have much to do with oils. The other one will be down the road, talking a little bit about getting over colds and flus. So, for those of you that might just be tuning in for the first time, every Wednesday we are doing these educational classes, and they are kind of going a series. They're taken from a resource that we're going through, and you're going to learn a little bit about the author of that resource tonight and some of the challenges that she has faced and in coming up with this information that she has shared. Plus, I'll share a little bit of personal information myself as we go through here. But tonight we're going to be talking about a holistic approach that if you were raised on the standard American diet and turned to traditional cures, will turn everything you've learned about the body upside down. So stick with us to continue learning. That class is coming up soon. That'll go into more depth on uh, the cold and flu thing and supplements. It'll be a follow up to this one. Okay, so the second class is this class on gut health. I'm convinced that the single most important thing that you can do in your journey of living clean is to protect your gut. At best, it can mean a significantly better quality of life. At the very least, it can literally be the difference between life or death for you. If you'd asked me about the importance of gut health several years ago, I would have given you this answer. I can't be perfect. I don't like eating rice cakes. I don't want it if it doesn't taste good. I can't live in an organic bubble, avoiding exposure to all poison. Everything is going to kill me. There's too much to learn. I don't have time. I'm overwhelmed. If it hasn't killed me by now, I'm sure I'll be fine. Now, here's the question I have for you. No one needs to hear this answer but you, but think about this. Are you really fine? So I want you to define what fine is. Is it waking up every day with stiff and sore muscles and an aching back? Is it chronic pain? Is it daily or weekly headaches? Is it weight that will not let go of you no matter how many diets you do? Do you sleep completely through the night? Are you constipated? Do you battle anxiety or depression? What about anything with the brain? Migraines, dyslexia, ADHD, ADD? Is your gut distended? Do you have inflammation? Do you have food allergies or IBS? Do you have skin issues like acne, eczema, or psoriasis? What about candida overgrowth? How well do you handle stress? How are your hormones, your libido? What about your energy levels? Every single one of those ailments can be linked to gut health. Your cells are literally made up of what you put in your mouth. If you ate sugary cereal this morning, it's already in your cells. So, 90% of sickness and disease starts in the gut. If you begin your work there, you have a 9 out of 10 shot that you're starting in the right place. It's not fixed by cutting one food. It's not fixed by a diet that you do for a few months. It's not fixed by cutting your McDonald's visits to once a week or cutting a Starbucks coffee from your regiment. It took a lot of work to do the damage that you've already done. Years and years, 10,000 mistakes. It's going to be a process to reverse it. The good news is that God designed the body to heal itself. If we stop damaging it, it will start to make repairs on its own. Simply by cutting some foods out, adding some foods in, supplementing, and doing things so that you're absorbing the right stuff. You can have a better life over the next 10 years than you had the last 10 years. But you must choose it for yourself. It means commitment, it means discipline. If you're not in a place to hear hard things, come back to this when your heart is ready. If you are ready, let's run together and get you to what God intended you to be. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. You have been given a stewardship to protect it. Even more importantly, you cannot do what you're called and created to do when your health is suppressed. That is why health is so terribly important. It has the ability to mute your purpose. You're at a fork in the road, but you have the wisdom to move. You see, there is something that came in your first box of oils that wasn't physically sitting inside. Discernment. Labels are going to start to bother you, as they should. If you make more bad decisions than good ones, you will not feel well. If you make a lot of good decisions and keep the bad ones in moderation, you will feel better. You have to decide how good you want to feel. I will tell you what I tell every person in all the oils classes I have taught. You cannot use an oil to band aid a lifestyle decision. Eating fast food 6 days a week and then using peppermint topically does not fix the root of the issue, an addiction to what is fast and easy. If you're looking for fast and easy, you are in the wrong place. Fast and easy does not heal you. My goal is total repair. That's not a masked feeling that fades away, but lifelong health. For you to want to fight for yourself, you must get to the point where your health is so poor that you can no longer ignore lifestyle decisions like sugar binging, processed food, eating out, and poor food sourcing. When you are too sick to look anywhere but up, then you are ready to dig into the gut and make repairs that will last. Then you are looking at a future that is better than your past. So, I'm going to tell you a bit about Sarah's story. So, some of the things I'm going to be sharing over the next few slides are going to be in her voice, covering her story and kind of some of the different things that she has tried and learned to do. And then I'll explain where some of the things I've tried fit into that too. So, Sarah's story. I am not supposed to be alive right now. I'm a walking miracle that testifies of the power of food. 12 years ago, when I was 30, I walked out of the office of my 13th neurologist. I had prescriptions for 6 different medications in my hands that I needed to take every 2 hours, and that came with side effects that were pages long. I was told I was at extremely high risk for a catastrophic stroke. It was imminent. I was told I would likely not see my kids ages 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 grow up. I'd been through 24 years of neurology appointments in 5 states. I went to headache clinics while suffering from 10-day-long migraines every month. I survived intravenous migraine cocktails, monthly ER visits drugged to oblivion, 13 families of migraine medications, Holter heart monitors, EKGs, yearly MRIs, all in the name of trying to figure out why my brain was bleeding from swelling. Why was I getting 30 to 40 new spots of dead tissue on my brain every year? I was told the big one was coming. I needed steroids to keep the swelling down, more bottles of pills for the pain, more bottles of pills for the vomiting, and more bottles of pills for the side effects from the other bottles. But none of it gave me answers, not after 2 decades. Why was I so sick? I decided to take things into my own hands. I have been a radio network news anchor for 23 years in Chicago and New York. We are trained to take hard things and make them easy to understand. Crawl through contentious political commentary, election coverage, legalese and litigation, and police reports just to make sense of it for someone on the other end of the radio. If I could make sense of politics, I could surely research to find someone who had cured their migraines. I stumbled on a Russian neurologist named Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. She primarily worked with kids with ADHD and autism. She found that many children that came to her with head issues also had gut issues. They had constipation, diarrhea, food allergies, JBS. IBS, Crohn's, celiac, and a host of other gut problems. She said if you healed the gut, you healed the head. The two were related. You did that by cutting the foods that irritated the gut lining, adding in good foods that healed, eating fermented foods to help you absorb nutrients, and being on a high dose probiotic to balance out your gut bacteria. She said when you eat bad things like sugar, it feeds the bad bacteria, which in turn creates holes in the gut lining. I had cut ingredients before. I had shelves and shelves of food journals because when you're a migraine sufferer, that is what you do. You keep food journals of your triggers. You cut caffeine, you cut coffee, you cut MSG, you cut one ingredient at a time. The trouble is that it was not one ingredient that did the damage, it was a lifestyle. So I took the plunge. This is still Sarah's story continued. I went on to Campbell McBride's GAPS diet. I will warn you, if you snag Natasha's book and read it, it will scare the tar out of you. I went from eating Pop Tarts and frozen burritos to making bone broth out of actual chicken bones, growing water kefir on my counter, and fermenting my condiments. I became a real nutcase. I was a kind of person I used to roll my eyes at. And I, Wendy, will tell you, I've done the same things. Sarah says, 30 days into my journey, my face still drooped on one side when a migraine struck. I continued to drop things as usual because the strength in my right side failed. But I went a full month without the physical pain of a migraine. That had not happened since I was 12 years old. The second month, I did the GAPS diet. I had no drooping, no weakness, and no pain. That was nearly 9 years ago. I have not had a single migraine since January 18th, 2011. I cured it entirely with food. Food choices almost cost me my life. It wasn't done with oils because I didn't even know what they were yet. I was not a Young Living member. This was just a radical lifestyle change. I took control of what was allowed in my home. So did my entire family. We systematically cured over 100 diseases over a span of 6 months. 6 months: hypothyroidism, ADHD, dyslexia, acne, severe eczema, headaches, and so much more. Do I believe in the power of food? Yes. Do I believe in the ability to heal the gut, even after decades of processed food and pop? Yes. I am a living miracle to the power God gave the body to heal itself. The best thing that I can give you is the encouragement to keep fighting. Your body was created to heal. That means there is hope. The little sugary drink here, the quick meal out of the Walmart freezer there. Each of those decisions ate my gut lining away bit by bit. So did the Mountain Dew that I drank religiously every day, along with the sugary chocolate I popped in my mouth constantly. If you met me a decade ago, my face was so covered in cystic acne from candida overgrowth that you would not have recognized me. Candida thrives from sugar. I had over 80 cysts on my shoulders, neck, back, and face, but not anymore. I had my life back. Now it's time to get your life back. Let's start at the beginning and walk together. Okay. So, what is your gut? We're going to talk about your gut. So, your gut includes your mouth and esophagus, your stomach, your small intestine, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, your large intestine, your colon, and your rectum. It starts where the food goes in and ends where the food goes out. In your mouth, food is chewed and digestive enzymes are released. The acid helps to kill the unwanted fungi, bacteria, and parasites in your food. The food then goes into your stomach and small intestine, where most nutrient absorption occurs. The small intestine is the most sensitive and prone to gut damage. In the large intestine, bacteria assist with digestion and detoxification. 30% of the US population, 1 in 3 people, have some form of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. 84% of all cases are caused by overgrowth of bad bacteria in the gut. Thousands more diseases are linked directly to the health of the gut. The good news is because the gut can heal itself, the diseases can also be healed. So I will tell you that I am part of and have been in the past part of the 30% of that has uh, what would be considered IBS or have struggled with it in the past. That was what when I was first diagnosed when I was 11. They didn't call it that; they called it some other things. But now it falls into that category. So, some facts about the human gut. Bacteria in your gut starts growing while you are in utero and is mostly developed by the time you are 3 years old. It's well documented that exposure to dirt, bacteria, and animals aid in the development of a healthier immune system. Today, we don't have constant exposure to dirt to train our immune system. If autoimmune diseases were measured as one group, they would rival the number of Americans with heart disease. The earlier antibiotics are used, the more damage they do. If they are used too early, before bacteria can populate the entire gut, you risk losing that bacteria for your entire lifetime. Children who are born vaginally have different gut bacteria than those born by C-section. Probiotics are healthy bacteria, and prebiotics feed those bacteria. The earlier a child takes probiotics, the more beneficial it is. Why is gut health so important? You have about 3 to 4.5 pounds of bacteria in your gut alone. They are a highly organized micro world with a pecking order. Some species control others. They serve so many functions that if our gut was sterilized, we would likely not survive. We are symbiotic with our gut bacteria, like an oxpecker bird that eats the bugs off a rhinoceros. Have you ever seen those pictures? They sound the alarm to let the rhinos know humans are close, to save them from being poached. The human digestive tract is a long tube open to the world at its mouth and at its end. So if we eat and drink a plethora of toxins, why don't we die? Well, it's because the whole tube is coated with a bacterial layer, providing a natural barrier against invaders. If the gut is damaged, then you are a city without walls of protection. You are open to viruses, parasites, bad bacteria, toxic substances, dangerous chemicals, candida, and so much more. Not only does our gut flora protect us, but it also helps us absorb nutrients. Without it, you become malnourished. It sets up a chain of degenerative changes in the digestive wall, which further impact your ability to absorb the good things from your food. So, what can damage the gut? Okay, we have a number of things here. I need to also read this. Okay. Antibiotics kill your energy vitamins B1, B2, B3, B6, and B12. Vitamin K, magnesium, and potassium. Antacids diminish calcium, folic acid, iron, and vitamins B and D. Those showed up really funny on this slide. Sorry about that. Antidepressants knock out coenzyme Q10 and vitamin B2. Anti-inflammatory drugs like cortisone and prednisone deplete you of calcium, zinc, and vitamins C and D. Blood pressure lowering drugs steal your calcium, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Cholesterol lowering drugs take away coenzyme Q10. Hormone replacement therapies steal magnesium, vitamin B and C, and folic acid. Here are some other ones. Aminoglycosides like erythromycin, antifungals like nystatin, the pill or birth control, stress. 75% of physicians' visits are for stress related ailments. Old age, alcoholism, pollution, exposure to toxic substances, radiation, even blue light from computers or radiation from high cell phone use, X-rays on teeth, MRIs, and at the airport, extreme climates, and diet, especially sugar, which feeds bad bacteria. These are all things that can damage the gut. So, a diet high in fiber from grains like breakfast cereals and bread has a huge effect on gut flora. Bottle-fed babies develop different gut flora than breastfed babies, and it's not good. Prolonged fasting, starvation, overeating seriously affects the composition of gut flora and can lead to lifelong health problems. Opportunistic bacteria can get out of control because they are being fed the wrong things, or because the good bacteria that keeps them in check is dying out from being attacked in the gut wall. When that happens, they get through the gut wall barrier and into the lymph nodes and bloodstream and cause a host of problems. When this is not controlled, it can damage the gut wall and make it leaky. For example, when Candida breaches the gut wall, its cells attach to the gut lining, pulling roots through it. We can see it on a microscope. Partially digested food gets in through the holes where the roots are and into the bloodstream, where the immune system recognizes it as foreign and starts to attack it. That is how food allergies and intolerances develop. Cutting out the food doesn't fix the problem. Other foods can get through the gut wall and start to cause allergies as the body attacks them too. You need to stop the leak. The same is true for the human endocrine system, which regulates all our hormones. You can go on a pill, but it will mask symptoms that are likely getting worse. It does not fix the root. I don't want to mask the symptoms. I really want the problem to be fixed. And I'm thinking that's what you want to. Voltaire says the art of medicine consists of amusing the patient while nature cures the disease. And Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, the brilliant neurologist I referenced, said the human body has an incredible ability to heal itself given the right help. She says, I do not believe that anyone, no matter how ill or disabled, is beyond improvement. When working in neurosurgery, it never ceased to amaze me how remarkably well the child's brain recovered after serious operations when parts of the brain were removed. At a yearly checkup, hardly any neurological deficit was detectable. However, nature does not work fast. Getting ill happens amazingly fast, but recovery takes much longer. I tell my GAPS patients to brace themselves for at least 2 years of hard work and sometimes longer. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about GAPS, about what this means, what this, in some ways, the way the protocol works. Okay, so goals of GAPS. GAPS stands for Gut and Psychology Syndrome. Goal number one is diet diet cleanup to diet to clean up the digestive tract so it stops being the biggest source of toxicity in the human body. Goal number two is supplementation. After you cut things out, put good things in so that you absorb the nutrients. Goal three is detoxification and lifestyle changes so that it does not happen again. So let's walk through the steps of what that looks like, and I'll explain the GAPS diet to you later. And if that's the route you want to take, I'd highly recommend that you snag Dr. McBride's book at gapsdiet.com and get lost in it. Okay, so whatever route you take, slow, fast, intense, or one at a time, remember this quote. About 80% of the food on the shelves of supermarkets today did not exist 100 years ago. Larry McCleary from Feed Your Brain, Lose Your Belly. What you put in your body matters. Don't eat Frankenfood, food that's created in a lab. If you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. If there are more than a handful of ingredients on the label, it's too many ingredients. You're getting processed food. Processed food damages the gut lining. If you're in a healing protocol, the food you choose is mission critical to seeing results. And you can see here offenders, sugar, gluten, dairy, healers, fermented foods, bone broth, good fats, probiotics, enzymes, and omegas. Okay, cover your eyes. We're about to talk about sugar. So we'll start with a popular offender, pop or soda pop, or Coke if you're from Texas. The average American drinks 597 cans of soda a year. One can has up to 15 teaspoons of sugar. Imagine sitting there eating 15 spoonfuls in one sitting. Most of us are drinking our sugar, not eating it. One study measured the effects of 100 grams of sugar on neutrophils, a form of white blood cell that is involved in immunity. Within an hour of ingestion, neutrophil activity dropped 50%. That's your immune support dropping 50%. Sugar lowers the body's immune system. Using fake sugar is no better. Significant studies have linked aspartame, Splenda, NutraSweet Equal, and others like it to various forms of cancer. A major soft drink company had to cut aspartame out of their diet products after sales plummeted because it was linked to cancer. Instead, they switched to sucralose, which is derived from an insecticide compound. The only sugars I trust are stevia, which comes from an herb, raw honey, not the junk at the store with corn syrup, and locally sourced maple syrup. Even then, I use them in very small amounts. It is stunning where sugar is hidden. It's in everything from lunch meat to spaghetti sauce to white bread to salad dressing. I once grabbed an organic yogurt to find out it had about 7 grams of sugar in one serving. It's so important to read the label when it comes to sugar. From a study in JAMA with the Harvard School of Health, researchers gathered 15 years of data on 40,000 people. They found those who took in 25% of their daily calories from sugar were more than twice as likely to die of heart disease. We think of food, but sugar is hidden in other places too. Sugar is found in toothpaste, children's chewable vitamins, chewing gum, flavored teas, processed snack foods, and even processed meats. The average person consumes 17 teaspoons of sugar a day or 57 pounds per year. You should be under 10 grams a day total, or if you are on GAPS, zero. Anything more than that is causing serious gut damage. Okay, gluten. Now, einkorn is an ancient wheat, a completely different kind of wheat. It does not hit your gut even close to the same way. Einkorn wheat is grown and sold by Young Living, and that's a whole nother class in and of itself. But now let's look at bread. Okay, and we're talking about the normal stuff you find at the grocery store. We eat it daily in everything: cereals, bagels, sandwiches, pasta, pizza, desserts. We're looking at like regular wheat flour, to name a few. For the last 50 plus years, wheat has been hybridized and crossbred with other grains and species, then sprayed with chemical fertilizers and pesticides. One study alone from the USDA found 16 different pesticides in wheat flour. Once they actually get it to a lab after using genetically modified seeds, it's enriched. If you see the word enriched on any of your bread, pasta, or cereal, run the other way as fast as you can. It's enriched with fake vitamins and synthetics that cause unbelievable damage to the gut, to the minerals in your body, and to your ability to absorb the real vitamins that are out there. Non-enriched bread is very hard to find. One brand I really like is Dave's Killer Bread, which you can find on Amazon, and a lot of stores carry it now. Gluten is actually a protein found in wheat, rye, spelt, and barley. The word is derived from the Latin word for glue because it's like elastic in the gut. Blocks of undigested protein from the gluten slide down into the small intestine and slow down the absorption of other nutrients. Our bodies look at gluten as foreign, and the immune system attacks it. It's basically priming the small intestine for digestive issues. A better alternative is coconut or almond flour. When people ask about major health issues, I found many are resolved or greatly reduced simply by eliminating gluten 100%. Try it for 30 days and see if some of your symptoms disappear. Maybe you found the culprit without having to do the full GAPS diet. Okay, dairy. The type of dairy you consume is absolutely critical. If it is raw dairy, Jersey or Guernsey cows that are pastured and not fed any grain or given growth hormones or antibiotics, you're in good shape. If you went and snagged a gallon at the grocery store instead of sourcing it from a local farmer, let me tell you what you're actually drinking. If you are consuming milk, butter, yogurt, and cheese from cows that are continually given antibiotics, you may be developing antibiotic resistance. The hormones they give the cows actually increase your chance of being overweight or getting cancer. When the milk is pasteurized, the natural enzymes, probiotics, and amino acids are completely destroyed. It goes from being a superfood to becoming poison. How you source your dairy takes it from one of the best foods in your diet to one of the worst. Everything a cow gets injected with, ibuprofen, steroids, etc., goes directly into their milk. A study found some pasteurized milk can be more inflammatory to the gut than gluten. In addition to that, pasteurized milk increases your exposure to glyphosate, a chemical component of Roundup, which is a pesticide and herbicide applied to genetically modified crops, which are fed to the cattle. If I did not have a raw milk option near me, I would switch to almond or coconut milk or to goat's milk. You'd be amazed at how many places have raw milk if you actually do some digging. Start by hitting up your local farmers markets. Never use soy. Soy is the #1 hormone disruptor on the earth. Avoid it at all costs. Yeah, Jen said on the thing, if you're in our area, we can tell you how to get fresh raw milk. I've been drinking raw milk for I don't even know how many years now. It's probably like 18 years. That's what our family uses. It's amazing. It makes a huge difference. And I will tell you, so I have my daughter who has to avoid most dairy, almost all of it, can drink raw milk, can't handle any others. So, what can I eat? So now I've knocked out 50% of your diet. Let's take a look at foods that heal the gut. Fermented foods are probiotic powerhouses. In addition, foods that are fermented become nutrient storehouses. For example, when sauerkraut is fermented, the amount of vitamin C is 20 times that of straight cabbage, what sauerkraut is made out of. Fermentation also makes foods more absorbable to the body. Refrigerators were only invented about 100 years ago. Every traditional culture, according to Natasha Campbell McBride, fermented their foods. They fermented everything: dairy, grains, meats, beans, vegetables, fruits, and fish. When cabbage was available in September, they made fermented cabbage and ate it for another 10 months. With every mouthful of fermented food, they ate trillions of beneficial bacteria. Fermented foods are a relatively new concept to most people. Our generation and the 2 or 3 generations before ours grew up with food from the grocery store. Mom was not growing cultures on the counter in mason jars. Some example of fermented foods are kefir. You can have water or milk kefir. Water kefir can taste fizzy like ginger ale. Milk can taste like runny yogurt. Homemade yogurt, raw cheese, coconut kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, kvass, a drink that can be made out of fermented beets, pickles, pickled garlic or veggies like gingered carrots, fermented sour cream, or ketchup, or fermented ketchup. Haven't tried that one yet. Let's see. So anytime you make it at home, you'll have more results than buying something in a store that sat in a warehouse for half a year before reaching you. Many of these recipes are very easy to make up. In the case of sauerkraut, you're adding salt and water. With kefir and yogurt, you start with the culture, add sugar, which the bacteria eats, a flavoring like fresh lemon or ginger, and let it sit for a day or two. With pickled veggies, you can use a starter or a salt and water. With fermented dairy like sour cream, you will begin with a starter and raw milk warmed on the stove, but not enough to kill the cultures. You let it sit for 18 to 24 hours in a mason jar on your counter. With pickles, I simply add a fermented vinegar and a little honey with spices and garlic. They only they only fermented for 4 hours. So you can do quick fermentations on those. There's a learning curve with fermented foods simply because you're not used to them. Once you try a few recipes, you'll fall in love and you know you're helping your kids' guts with fermented ketchup or sour cream instead of ketchup from the store with corn syrup and sugar in it. It's a totally different way of looking at food. What are you putting in, not just cutting out? How have you nourished your gut today? My favorite site to order starter cultures is culturesforhealth.com. I recommend that you start with some water kefir because it's simple and tasty. You can add ginger and lemon to yours to make like a ginger ale that is knockout good and has won the praise of kids and teens alike. Okay, so anybody here that's on here, any of y'all do fermented foods? If you do, pop in the chat. Let me know if y'all actually make any fermented foods. I can see um, we've talked a little bit about that in the Facebook Live. So, okay, so foods that heal the gut lining. Here's another one. There are a few other superfoods that heal the gut, including bone broth, organic food, and good fats. Then we're going to talk about these, and then we'll wrap up with a couple of supplements, a simple walk through the GAPS diet, and some of Sarah's, because these are ones that Sarah shared here, favorite family recipes that nourish the body instead of hurting it. So bone broth, every type of bone broth out there, whether it comes from chicken, fish, beef, or lamb, has been a staple in diets across the globe for millennia. Boil the bones, marrow, skin, feet, tendons, ligaments, and cartilage, and you have a superfood that is one of the fastest ways to rebuild the gut lining. In fact, with the first stage of the GAPS diet, it's the base of all you have because it's so nourishing and works so quickly. These bones are boiled or simmered for hours or days, and they release things like collagen, praline, and glutamine, which helps with arthritis, joint conditions, and IBS. One study found that peptides in bone broth restored the mucosal lining in animals with leaky gut. Yes, animals get it too. The broth is filled with things that are easy for the body to absorb: calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, silicone, sulfur, and amino acids that help with things like digestion, allergies, and asthma. Make a big pot of it once a week and sneak it in everything: taco meat, spaghetti sauce, soups, and casseroles. I even make a white sauce out of bone broth, lemon, thyme, the herb, and cashews that is amazing. You can even throw bone broth in green or fruit smoothies as long as you don't season it with salt. That is nourishing for your kids, much more so than Gatorade, juicy juice, or antibiotic filled milk. Um, the ideal amount of bone broth to consume per person is 1 to 2 cups per day for gut healing. So, how do you make it? Find a good chicken or any hunk of meat. Make sure it's organic and non-GMO. Make sure it's not grain-fed. Put the bones in a crock pot and fill it with filtered water. Add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and let it go. If you do it in a crock pot, it takes about 12 hours. If you do it in an Instant Pot, it takes about 2 hours. You'll get a rich, gelatinous broth that is soothing to the gut lining. It'll last 4 to 5 days in the fridge. If you haven't touched it and there is a layer of fat on top, that's the good stuff for you. It can last up to 6 months in the fridge. If you can't use it fast enough, just freeze it in ice cube trays and put the cubes in baggies in the freezer. Then you can throw it in everything. If you want to read up more on broth, go to the Weston Price website. You can even find a chapter leader near you to get plugged in with, and they will help you source food locally that isn't loaded with garbage. We've been told to shop the perimeter of the grocery store because that's where all the healthy stuff is: fruits, veggies, and meats. But I'd encourage you to ditch the grocery store as you start to ditch and switch everything else with oils and oil infused products. Um, Sarah has switched to buying close to 90% of her groceries from local farmers: grass fed beef, pastured chicken and eggs, local lamb, raw honey, raw milk, butter and cream, tallow and lard to cook with, coconut oil, organic fruits and veggies, and buttermilk that she makes into fermented sour cream. The rest of the stuff that comes out of a can or a box at the store, she doesn't use at all anymore. Organic foods. When you go organic, you're cutting pesticides, herbicides, and GMO seeds. You're getting more nutrients. There's an over 200-year study. The Journal of Applied Nutrition found that organic apples, pears, potatoes, and corn had 63% more calcium, 73% more iron, and 118% more magnesium than non-organic produce. But isn't organic more expensive? Well, yes, on average, nationally, you pay about 25% more than non organic food. That is, unless, of course, you get really good at sourcing, buying in bulk from farmers, and getting creative, like growing your own ferments and starting a garden, even an herb garden. However, you need to consider the cost elsewhere. Remember the list of ailments in the first couple of paragraphs first that I talked about at the beginning of the class. What you have to go through to treat those conditions is significantly more emotionally and financially taxing than a 25% increase in your grocery budget. I've had people on my team do a Young Living business solely for the goal of increasing their grocery budget enough to get organic food. That's a great goal. Where do you find the best organic foods? Get plugged into the closest farmers market you can find. Frequent several of them in your area from spring through fall. Consider buying in bulk, like a quarter of a cow, and to save money and stockpile well sourced meat. Ferment, dehydrate, or freeze some of your produce. I don't do a lot of canning because, like pasteurization, it kills all the good stuff you want in your gut with heat. If you can't find a local farmer's market, do a quick search for Weston Price in your area. They will get you plugged in. If you live in a remote area, you can also consider some larger sourcing companies like U.S. Wellness Meats or Butcher Box, which have organic meats. Okay, good fats. This also falls into the weird category. Everything you've learned about fat is likely untrue. There are good fats and there are bad fats, just like the world of dairy. Your brain needs about a quarter to a half a cup of good fat every single day for it to work correctly. Fat is brain food. Good fats are coconut oil, grass-fed butter, avocados, avocado oil, tallow, lard, olive oil that's not been heat processed, ghee, and flaxseed oil. A study out of the University of Maryland showed omega-3s and fats were good to treat high cholesterol and heart disease. Bad fats, like trans fats, are act like poison in the body. 90% of canola oil or vegetable oils are made from genetically modified plants. Partially hydrogenated oils, which you find in most boxed and canned foods, have fats that have been injected with hydrogen at high temperatures. These are trans fats. They have been linked to birth defects, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, liver problems, obesity, and sterility. If you see any of those oils on the side of the box, run as fast as you did with the enriched bread. So, what can I eat again? Well, we've just knocked out all sugar, enriched bread, most grains, just about all processed and boxed foods because of hydrogenated oils, most dairy, anything sprayed with a pesticide or herbicide, and all non organic and non GMO foods. You can eat, you're just going to be eating real food. Just like our one ingredient oils sourced with seed to seal, you're now cooking with one ingredient foods and nourishing your family's body one meal at a time. Okay, so this is a menu that Sarah shared of what she eats in her world with, whole food, whole gut healthy foods. So breakfast, Aussie bowls, with shredded coconut and homemade granola. She says, I blend an avocado into the acai to give it more nutrients, add fresh berries and bananas on top, as well as some dried young living wolfberries for antioxidants. Lunch, bento boxes with diced veggies and homemade ranch dip made from milk kefir, chunks of pastured chicken seasoned with a homemade fajita seasoning, grapes and blueberries, raw cheese, and some salty walnuts. Dinner, sesame orange chicken on fried cauliflower rice with stir-fry veggies. And then let's see. That was day 1. Day 2, we have breakfast mango cream smoothies with 6 servings of spinach and added collagen, bone broth instead of water. Lunch, leftover Chinese food, the sesame orange chicken from the night before. Dinner, broccoli and chicken casserole made with a white sauce with 4 ingredients: bone broth, cashews, thyme, the herb thyme, and half of a squeezed lemon. Now, does that sound awful? That's truly how we eat. You'll develop an arsenal of amazing foods as you experiment. You'll hide veggies on your kids that don't like veggies. She says, I can make a mean cheesecake out of zucchini, no choke. I need to look that one up. I've done it with other things. Okay, so here are some of the Sarah's favorite places to start learning some of these books that she's getting recipes and things from. So any of Danielle Walker's cookbooks, that sesame orange chicken recipe is in her book, Against All Grain. The chicken and broccoli casserole is in her cookbook, Meals Made Simple. Empowered Sustenance, an amazing blog, has the cheesy chicken casserole recipe with 5 ingredients: shredded chicken, apple cider vinegar, peas, coconut oil, and a pureed butternut squash that takes on the flavor of cheese. Detoxinista.com has the cheesecake recipes made out of zucchini. There you go. That's where we get to find it. And then she says she found all of those sites by accident. You can do the same thing by probing and asking questions. So I hope this class is filling your heart in deep areas. I know you want to do better for your family, but the reality is most of us weren't taught to cook, and we were raised in a home with food from boxes and cans. We can choose to stop that cycle with this generation. Our kids can grow up with a completely different life if we choose to fight for them. It might mean we have to say no in other areas, but don't you want to set the stage for a strong gut? The greatest gift you can give them from your hands is their health. There are 2 more things I want to touch on quickly, then we'll wrap up. Let's go over a quick tour of supplements and a rundown of what the GAPS diet looks like, as well as an abbreviated form of it that's a bit less scary for most people. Okay, so supplemental probiotics. So we told you earlier that there are 3 goals in GAPS. Number 1 is diet, clean up the digestive tract so it stops being the biggest source of toxicity in the human body. Goal 2, supplementation. And goal 3, detoxification, lifestyle changes. So let's look at goal number 2, supplementation. I won't go into great detail on this because we have a whole class on the top Young Living supplements that's coming up next week, next Wednesday night. But here are the 3 that are gut related that I feel are very important. So, probiotics. Here are some little known facts about probiotics. They are beneficial species of organisms that provide health benefits. They do not colonize you, but do provide substantial benefits. They can help clear infections from the gut. They can be as effective as antibiotics in treating infection. They resolve imbalances in the gut. They return the gut microbiota to normal after antibiotics. They stimulate the immune system and enhance your gut's protective mucous membrane. They help with weight loss, insulin resistance, celiac disease, and a host of other ailments. They support the liver in detoxification. They help the kidneys cleanse. They help the bowels eliminate toxins. They produce vital nutrients for the body like vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and some enzymes. Probiotics have been shown in studies to fight anxiety or depression, and they can help with cognitive function. Next is enzymes. In a nutshell, enzymes create chemical reactions in the body. They speed up the rate of a chemical reaction to help support life. The enzymes in your body do important tasks like building muscle, destroying toxins, and breaking down food so you get the nutrients from what you eat. In short, you are what you digest, according to Dr. Joseph Mercola. His website is another one that's great to follow. The protein that will slow nearly every inflammatory disease is enzymes. So here's a brief list of some of the things enzymes do: energy production, absorption of oxygen, fights infections and heals wounds, reduces inflammation, gets nutrients to your cells, carries away toxic waste, breaks down fat in your blood, regulating cholesterol and triglyceride levels, dissolves blood clots, helps with proper hormone regulation, slows the aging process. 90% of Americans buy processed food. Diets that are heavy in cooked, processed, and sugary foods combined with overuse of pharmaceutical drugs and antibiotics deplete your body's ability to make enzymes. If you heat your food above 116 degrees, it renders most enzymes in your food inactive. It's one reason you need a mix of cooked and raw foods in your diet so that you're getting enzymes. If you don't have enough enzymes, you'll see it in forms of constipation, bloating, cramping, flatulence, belching, heartburn, and acid reflux. As it progresses, you get malnourished. Chronic malabsorption leads to a bunch of illnesses. If you don't have the nutritional building blocks you need, you are not able to cover from illnesses. By the time you are 20, natural enzyme production starts to decline, and every 10 years, your body's production of enzymes is down by 13%. The answer? Supplement. GAPS is a lot more effective when you're absorbing the nutrients you are spending when you're spending so much time in the kitchen preparing. So don't waste your time, take an enzyme. It rhymes. Don't waste your time. Take an enzyme. Okay. Omegas. Omegas 3, 6, 9s, and 12s help everything in the body communicate. So when your soldiers talk to each other, they win the battle. They're also good for your heart, concentration, memory and learning, blood sugar levels, joints, your brain and nervous system, your liver, cholesterol levels, your moods, and they fight inflammation. Where do you get them? Wild caught cold water fish, grass fed meats, and sprouted seeds and nuts primarily. 95% of Americans are deficient in DHA and EPA, important omega 3 fatty acids. Each of these supplements plays a role in helping the GAPS diet work faster and helping your body to heal more quickly. You can stay on the diet for 2 years or 10 years. I'd rather it be 2 years. Okay. Can't I get any oils in this lecture? Okay, so we're going to give you one. We said we weren't going to do a bunch of oils for tonight, but we'll talk more about those coming up. But I'll give you one. I realize you're going through an oil deprivation at this point. A 2015 study published in PLOS 1 found frankincense protected the tight junctures of the gut from damage caused by inflammation. The study's authors noted that frankincense oil was effective for leaky gut syndrome. In other words, take a capsule of frankincense vitality oil every day, especially if you take on a diet like the GAPS diet or any other type of gut protocol. Does frankincense replace good diet, supplementation, food sourcing, and the cutting of toxic things? No. You heard me say it earlier. You cannot use an oil to band-aid a lifestyle decision, but oils complement what you're already doing. They assist the body in the work that is being trained to do on its own. Therefore, it makes oils valuable in the discussion of clean living. Okay, goal 3 on GAPS, the final goal is lifestyle change. That takes conviction. The best way to train you on conviction is with a story. So the neat thing about this story is that it's a true story. Perhaps you've listened to this class and you're thinking of all the things I said in the beginning. It's too hard. I'm fine. I don't know enough. The problem is that the cost of not learning is extremely high. This is a story of a professor. His name is Tim Spector. He's quite famous. He is a professor of genetic epidemiology at King's College in London. He made a deal with his son, Tom, that if he'd let him study his gut, he would buy him McDonald's for 10 days straight. He wanted to take a peek at his microbiome. Tom was quite elated about the idea. He loved McDonald's, and free McDonald's was even better. He was in college. Free is always better when you're in college, right? For 10 days, Tom ate a Big Mac or chicken nuggets, fries, and a Coke. He ate nothing but McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He gave stool samples before, during, and after his fast food feast. After a week and a half, he had become weak. His skin had taken on a gray color. He was craving salads and fruit. Teams from both Cornell University and the British Gut Project tested Tom's microbiome. His community of gut bacteria had been decimated. Tom lost 1,400 species, 40% of what was in his entire gut tract in a week and a half. It took him months to heal. Maybe fast food is not your Achilles heel. Maybe it's sugary coffee in the morning. It may be your grocery budget is a fraction of what it needs to be, so you've been cutting corners for a long time to save cash. You're cutting your family's health with that decision. Please hear me. The cost is not worth it. What you put in is so important. Ask yourself, always, what is nourishing my family's bodies in the meals I'm about to make? Is it loaded with enriched pastas, breads, and rice? Does it contain processed boxed sauces, synthetic ingredients, hydrogenated oils, and lab-created sugars? Are there any vegetables, any fermented foods, any nutrient-rich broth, proteins, good fats? What am I feeding them? You are so convicted about what you allow in your home. You don't want bright blue dish soap on your counter or toxic shampoo in your kid's bathroom, but there is poison in your fridge and it has to stop. It's part of this journey too. Yes, there is a learning curve, and yes, it does take time. And yes, the ingredients are more expensive. And yes, the work is worth it. It was all worth it. You can do this. Your family's gut is worth the fight. Okay, so where to begin? Here are some of the websites that we were mentioning earlier that you can check into. So get plugged into the Western Price chapter near you, westernaprice.org. Check out the local farmers markets and start sourcing good ingredients. Pick up any cookbook by Danielle Walker and start making dinners you love that nourish your family. If you're up for the GAPS diet and are all in, you can begin by going to www.gapsdiet.com. There are food lists of what you can eat that are all really well put together on the site. The diet occurs in 6 stages. You skin test for sensitivities in order to progress to the next stage. It starts with bone broth. I recommend getting Natasha Campbell McBride's Gut and Psychology book and read it cover to cover before you start. There's a supplemental book called Heal Your Gut Cookbook by Hilary Boynton that is phenomenal if you don't understand some of the foods that you need to make, like cultured sour cream or fermented water kefir. It sounds crazy and it's a lot of work, but it's changed everything for my family. You're going to want to order supplements and be sure to check out our supplements class next week. And there'll be some enzyme classes coming up also in the future, but contact us and we'll be happy to explain those things to you also. Also, you can start cutting ingredients even today. So I began by looking at the top 7 offenders: soy, nitrates, dyes, preservatives, corn syrup, caffeine, and hydrogenated oils. If you want a great resource on how to cut things out, just grab the Fearless Confidence with Essential Oils in 2 hours. It's a little mini book. We can get you a copy if you're interested. If you cannot take on the GAPS diet right now, but want to keep learning on this topic and start making some small changes, there is another book that you can check out called Living Balanced, Healthy Mind and Body Reference Guide by Stacy A. Kimbrell. And then also there's some other books. So Nourishing Traditions. This is a bit heavier, but this book is by Sally Fallon Morell. It is a standard for cooking in the entire clean living world. It's one I have. It's something I used a long time ago. I also have the one by Stacy Kimbrell. Um, there says, if you're not convinced that soy is bad for you, you can check out the book, The Whole Soy Story by Dr. Kayla Daniels. If you're not convinced that fat is good for you, check out the book, Eat Fat, Lose Fat by Dr. Mary Ng. So those are a few resources. And then here is a whole list of documentaries you can check out. So if you're really convicted and want to start immediately, you can check out some of these documentaries. You can download many of them from Netflix or Hulu, and you can even check YouTube. You can take a screenshot of this if you want for future reference. And same thing with the other resource pages. If you need them again, I can back up and you can take a picture of them. Just let me know. Okay, so I want to talk to you about two things that we offer with for our team that you can plug into. Well, for our team and those outside of our team, but those that are looking to make some maybe smaller step lifestyle changes that will make a huge difference if you're not quite ready to jump into the gaps whole thing. But I have found that with what I personally have done over the years. Part of it was what I just described, what Sarah had recommended with doing some of the GAPS protocol, with making sure you're doing probiotics and enzymes. There's also other things that I started using every single day that are a part of this 10-day rev up that I'm going to share with you about, that you have an opportunity to become a part of. We have another one starting in April, but using Ningxia Red, which is our antioxidant supplement drink that we offer with Young Living, using that every day and using sulfurzyme powder every day were two things that really helped my body to heal itself, in addition to the other gut supporting things we've been talking about. Changing what you eat is one of the biggest things to give your body a break and allow your body to start healing as you add in some of the supplementation and you start watching what you're eating and getting rid of all of the non-real things in your diet. Those things make a huge difference so our body can function the way it should. But we have something called the 10-day rev up. And what this is, it is a program that runs for 10 days. It helps, it's a way for you to plug in and get some help with making simple changes that will start you on the path to a healthy gut and a healthy body. You get to learn what can help to support a healthy inflammation response in your body, ways to reduce the inflammation, the unhealthy inflammation response, ways to manage those responses with food and food-based supplements. And you get the benefit of coaches walking you through the process. It's like a community to plug into, and you get to try out our amazing Ningxia Red, that we have so many stories of those who have plugged into this and have lost inches and pounds just in the 10 days because the inflammation is melting away from their body. They are feeling better with the food choices they're making. People see an increase in their energy and their mind being clearer and their concentration in the having less pain in their body. It's just an amazing, amazing thing you can do. And it's just 10 days. It's a great way to plug in and check that out. If you're interested in that, just comment, let us know. Jenna or I will get back to you about how to get signed up for our next offering. If you have friends you want to refer to it, just contact us and we will get back with you about getting set up for that. We also have one other program. This is a longer commitment program that goes for 6 months, and we offer, Jen and I both offer together a coaching program that really walks you through the whole package of helping you get on a journey to making healthy choices that will impact you and your life for the long term. It includes getting mindset coaching. It includes teaching you how to eat a balanced diet, healthy foods that will reduce the inflammation, and foods that will be healthy for your gut, helping you to walk through any specific challenges for you in your life personally, that we need to take into account in that process. You get to learn new habits and skills that will get you the results that you're looking for, whether that is better lab results, whether that is just feeling better and having more energy, whether it's wanting to lose a lot of weight, or a little weight, whether it's helping you get in shape, because you get to fuel your body correctly in order to get fit also. As a part of this, you get to be a part of a small group working towards the same goals, working with two coaches. We provide ongoing support and guidance through this whole process. And our clients in these programs, usually within the 6 months, they're losing anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds, depending on their goals and their health situation at the time when we start. And it's amazing to see the progress that they make. Some people even make more progress than that in 6 months. But anyways, that is an opportunity. Applications are open right now. There's an application process to be considered for this program, and we'll be closing the application process soon. And we will kick off in April with this program. So if you're interested in that, say me, put it in the chat, let us know, and we will follow up with you with links for these programs. And as mentioned, next week, we will be having our supplements class is what's coming up next week on the 27th, same time, 6 p.m. Central Time. And then really quickly, thank you all for hanging in here. I have a couple of little things. I know this is really small. I didn't get a chance to retype this. There's a couple of things. There's actually there's a workbook that follows up and goes with where some of these educational things we're sharing with you go, but this is some ways to apply what you're learning tonight. So if you are new to Young Living and you are not yet set up with an account with Young Living, and you want to try out these supplements, you want to try out some of the products that we've mentioned tonight, please contact us. Please comment on this video, comment in the Facebook Live, and let us know, and we will follow up with you. But one of the amazing things we have available is a loyalty rewards program. So here's a couple of ways, and you know what? You get to earn extra freebies when you do your loyalty orders at a certain level. So here's some combinations. You can get 2 packs of Ningxia Red. You can add those supplements. You can get a combo pack of 2 bottles of Ningxia Red and 30 ounce packets. I mentioned that Ningxia Red is the first thing I tell people to get on. It will help support your gut health. It will help support your overall wellness and put your body in a position to be ready for the changes that you're making for it. You can add on a bottle of frankincense vitality. You can take that in capsules. You can order frankincense, Life 9, and Omega Gies. Those are all we had mentioned in this class. And you can also consider doing a good cleanse. We'll cover that more in the enzymes class that'll be coming up in the future. But the body does need regular cleansing because it's getting a lot of toxins added to it. So we do have some cleansing trio and some other options in place of that. If you are eating well, moving, sleeping, cutting stress, and adding supplements, then you're going to start doing amazing things for your gut. And honestly, those are all things we teach you about in the 10-day rev up and in our total transformation journey program. Okay. And it has some action steps that you can take. We mentioned a few, but look at cutting out all sugar, gluten, and dairy for 30 days and then see how you feel. See how you feel. As Sarah had mentioned in the story I shared, her family eliminated 80 health problems in a month just by eliminating those 3 things and just checking to see how the body did. Take probiotics at bedtime because they work best at night while you're sleeping. And then start looking at trying out some of those things, going to your farmer's market, sourcing good food. Look for chicken bones, happy chicken. We call them happy chickens. So chickens that are pasture raised, but they're not fed all the icky stuff. Happy chickens and happy cows. Something our family has always called them. So look for those things. Try out making some fermented foods. And just real quick for a bonus, here's some fun diffuser recipes using the culinary oils. Some of them are and some of them are not. But so comfort, you can do rutaval or valor, cardamom, thyme, the garden. You can take a screenshot of this. There's also some other recommended ideas here for your loyalty rewards orders. These are like a little bonus for you. So take a screenshot of this and you can follow up with that. And then here is our second page. So months 1, 2, and 3. And then there's a little thing. I'm not going to read that tonight though. And then you might want to take a screenshot of this. So there's a cheesy chicken casserole. She talks about, typically making spaghetti, and you have noodles, tomato sauce, depending on where you're sourcing it, ground beef, cheese, depending on where you're getting it. These choices can be good or bad for you, right? So she offers here a cheesy chicken casserole recipe that is actually a healthy option, something good for you to eat using some different things that maybe you're not haven't tried before, but it'd be a good thing to try out and see what it's like. You get veggies, you get protein, you get a healthy fat mixed in here, you get a fermented food added in there, and some organic herb seasoning. So it's totally different than the first one that's being mentioned, just your typical, spaghetti dinner. But it's yummy and so much better for you. And then one more recipe. So making killer cauliflower rice. You can take 1 to 2 heads of cauliflower, depending on your family size, 4 to 6 cloves of garlic, salt and pepper, and grass-fed butter. Kerrygold, which is awesome. You can get it from Costco now also. So anyways, this if you take a screenshot of this, this gives you a recipe on how to break down your cauliflower and make your cauliflower rice. So it ends up being rice consistency, and how to cook it up is basically fried cauliflower rice, but you're using all healthy, gut encouraging items. So what you put in your body matters. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now. Hi. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we wrap up for this evening? Thank you all for being on here tonight. I hope this information has been helpful. So if you're on Facebook or you're here on Zoom, love to hear from you.
Well, I'm just going to say a couple of words. Overwhelming.
It's a lot. Sorry, it's a lot one. You can go back and listen to it later.
I'm glad there's a replay because I can't write fast enough.
But did you find it interesting, helpful? What are your thoughts? I know it's a lot. It was a lot.
Absolutely, totally interesting in it. I've already been through the rev up a few times, and so I understand what you're talking about there. And and it was kind of like holding hands with the rev up beginning, leading you into another segment on it. And some of it I kind of knew, some of it I didn't. Like I said, couldn't write fast enough. But the give up sugar, gluten, and dairy, I did rev up for about 3 months, and I don't know how long it's been, but I tapered off, and I have a feeling that the issues that I'm having is just because I slipped.
Yeah, that's one reason doing like the 10-day rev up is helpful, because it is just even a short time to remove those things and see how your body does. So that's why, we recommend doing a 30-day, but even 10 days is a good start, because you can start seeing like how your body, how do you feel if you take away these things just for a little while? And it's not getting rid of like every type of food in your diet, right? Even with dairy, you can do, if you have the right type, some
Right.
people can do it. Now, some people need none, because it's just how your body reacts. And what I have found is that as my gut has healed, I can
Yes.
tolerate other things again where I couldn't before, because I was having those issues, because my gut and everything was not functioning correctly. You have those holes and you have those things that are causing reactions. And if you're able to go through the process to heal, let your body start healing itself, then you can sometimes add some of those things back in. But
Yeah,
that's a
the rev up
process
is
just to watch. So
the rev up is an absolute fantastic foundation to just begin your mind to understand what you never knew that you didn't know. If you didn't know what you didn't know, then you had
yeah.
no clue. And once you do that, I've changed certain things. I use almond milk now. I've got my granddaughter just about hooked on chocolate almond milk, which is probably not the best almond milk, but it's better than regular whole milk with chocolate sauce in it. And it agrees with her system because she can't do regular whole milk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm starting her into that, and I'm slowly introducing her to oils too. She's 10 years old and she has a little issue with breathing and stuff like that. So I sent her home with an anti-anxiety one last week and a little peppermint, and marked them very much on the bottles, told mommy and daddy what was coming, etc. So I'm interested when she comes back the next time to see what happened.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Leslie, and for your input. Because yes, I know you've done the 10-day regimen, so it
Mm-hmm.
has been very beneficial for so many people. So awesome. See if anybody else had questions. So anybody else you have questions, comments? It's on here on Zoom with me. No, y'all good. Thank you for being here this evening. Amy's got her little kitty.
Can I say one
Yeah,
more
Lexi.
thing? I'm going to go
Sure.
back to oils. Diffuse, diffuse, diffuse. If you don't know what you're doing, and you're kind of scared of whatever to put them on your body, just diffuse it because it gets into your blood-brain barrier faster than doing anything else. You wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think
Yeah.
those tiny little particles in the air were like reaching where they need to get versus just taking it and slathering it on yourself. But it does.
Yeah.
And that's something I diffuse in my other granddaughter's bedroom. She's only a year and a half, and I put a piece in calming or a lavender in there and diffuse it, and keeps that little bugger asleep for 12 hours. Grandma says yay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very good. Very, very true. Yeah, that's what I've got going in the background here. So, yes, and we talked about that on the feelings class last week about how and why the diffusing gets in there faster. So if y'all didn't watch that one, it's on YouTube or in our Facebook group, and you can watch the replay on the feelings class. It was really, really good that I shared last week. So, okay, well, thank you all for being here. We are going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope to see you all here next week, and we will be covering supplements next week, and then we have some other great topics coming up in the coming week. So, thank you all for being here. Have a great night. If you need anything, just comment on our recordings and stuff and let us know, and we will get back to you or message us directly. So, y'all have a blessed night. We'll talk to you soon.